right there. What? Focus, people. Let's stay focused. Okay, so got a lot of feedback from you guys. Thank you very much on that last video. I tried to answer all of you guys, but the day that it went up, I had to study for my accounting test that I surely failed. But I don't even know if I failed. But nonetheless, so that was what was going on. That's why I couldn't answer you back. However, a lot of chatter going up about Kyrie Irving. A lot of chit chat. A lot of chatter. A lot of that spilled into what Carmelo Anthony is going to do. Let's be clear, people. Let's get some clarity. Can we do that? Because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on right now. So let's work on some clarity. Let's try to develop some type of, direction where we, not so much where we think Carmelo's going to go, but let's narrow down the playing field. Let's narrow down where it's possible that he can go with his no trade clause. So let's get into some of this information that has just came out on Melo. This is going to help us find out what's possible for Melo to do within the confines of his contract. Boom.
Houston Rockets may be in when it comes to Melo. The trade we've all been waiting for is close. Per the New York Daily News, it's on the 2-yard line. So now we're going to have the joke about Marshawn Lynch and whether or not you're going to run it in or pass it, and if it's an interception from Malcolm Butler in Super Bowl 49. So now that joke is out of the way, and whether they get in from the 2-yard line, Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting from ESPN that the Rockets and Knicks are working on a Carmelo Anthony trade that will involve not one, not two, not three, but 4 teams. 4. I'm so amazingly fascinated as to how this gets done. Now, that's just NBA dorking me. But reports are current that the stumbling block seems to be Ryan Anderson. His 3-year, $60+ million contract with Houston that nobody wants. So we thought that would be a stumbling block going in, and it still is. Seemingly, though, on the low end, there will be at least 4 teams, at least $100 million of contracts, probably $200 million, and likely 10 or more current or future players involved. Yeah, somehow it takes that much for Melo and the Knicks to get divorced without knowing all the full-fledged details of the deal. I get what the Rockets are doing, but it's not going to work. It's just not. The combination of James Harden, Chris Paul, and Carmelo Anthony, it's nice and shiny and new. But to me, this could be a redo of the Rockets teams that trotted out Hall of Famers Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler, and Scottie Pippen that won nothing. Because Hakeem Olajuwon won with guys like Vernon Maxwell, Kenny Smith, Carl Herrera, and Matt Fuller when Michael didn't play. Not necessarily all the stars. I just don't see how these 3 players, 2 of them, Harden and Melo, offense first and second, before even thinking about defense, would stand a chance against the two-way Warriors, as in a team that is elite on offense and defense. Don't forget that. Everybody sleeps on the Warriors' defense. Carmelo and James Harden on the same team.
Worse.
Do you think they're going to guard anybody?
Nope.
As for the Knicks, it's not meant to be a knock on Melo. I'm actually a Melo fan. This just needs to end. So any return they get that does not involve taking on long-term money is a good deal. You may not know the names of the guys they get in return in this deal. They may not even be on the team this year.
That's
but
right.
A breakup and a clearance of cap is the best possible return right now for Melo, whose time in New York just needs to end for all of our sakes.
And the reason why he's saying that is because of the relationship that Melo had with the GMs. And it just hasn't been good, but I think they just got rid of their GM, right? They get rid of Phil. Wasn't it Phil? They just got rid of was it the general manager, I think? One of them. Anyways, so they just got rid of Phil Jackson. GM, just wasn't a good relationship. And, Melo's had some personal issues. And I told you guys before. Right now, not unless you're a team that's really desperate for power forward? I mean, really desperate. And you're just trying to build from the bottom up. You want that ad revenue that Melo brings in. You want that attention. Then I'd get him. Other than that, he's kind of like a Derrick Rose to me. And the reason why I say that is because, well, that's far-fetched. Because Derrick Rose doesn't play. He's there, but he doesn't play. but Melo actually plays. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry, skip that last one. But nonetheless, he just brings a lot of baggage with him, and you better believe once he leaves New York. See, here's the misconception. Here's the misconception. Okay. For one, he said that 4 teams and 10 players are involved with the Carmelo move. That just lets you know how convoluted these contracts can be with each player. You know what I'm saying? It's like moving chess pieces, and if one piece just doesn't move, it doesn't make sense for the other ones to move. It's just like no, it's just not going to happen. It just doesn't make sense for this to happen. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal is because there has been talk about Carmelo actually coming to Cleveland. And listen, Carmelo said if he's going to use his no contract, what is it? I think if he's going to break his contracts or some kind of clause that he had, there was only 2 teams he was considering. He was considering Houston and he was considering Cleveland. Everybody wants him to go to Cleveland. And one of the reasons why everybody wants him to go to Cleveland is because so he can play with LeBron. But here's the problem with that. Here's a problem with that, Donald. Here's a problem with that. When you have the best player in the league right now, pretty much dictating where he wants to go, and people making not only cap space for him, but they're making room as far as players are concerned. They're getting rid of players before he's even getting there. They're just like, hey, it's possible LeBron could look at us. Look, they're even looking in the future. They're just like, for LeBron to look at our team, we would need to make that foresight possible. So this year, just because he glanced our way, we're going to get rid of this player, this player, this player, this player. We're going to do this, that, and the third. We're going to have this much cap space just so he can look at us and strongly consider us. He hadn't even said nothing to us yet. You don't believe that's happening? That's the problem with this Carmelo deal. You think it's not all trickled down into some type of, it's all flip-floppy, like I said before. That's the problem with the Carmelo deal. See, if LeBron James was going to stay where he's at right now, and you knew it, if he didn't have a 1-year contract for $23 million, and you knew he was going to stay there for the next 5 years, James Harden, $228 million deal. You know what I'm saying? For the next $201 million Steph Curry deal where they lock that player down. If you knew LeBron was going to stay in Cleveland, then you can start building around that. But here's the thing with Carmelo. Carmelo just ain't going to up and move to some team that he really doesn't want to be on. Why? Because he's already on one he doesn't want to be on. He's just not going to do it. If he has a say in the matter. This is all if he has a say in the matter. This is not like what happened to that player last year where his agent just came up and whispered into his ear while he was doing an interview and said, hey, you just been traded. This is Carmelo Anthony we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the top 10 players in the whole league. This is somebody who not only, listen, this is not considering his stats. This is just considering him. That's what I'm saying. When you follow the money, you're just considering him. You're gonna look all this talk around what he's gonna do. You think this is not generating money? You think it's not? This all generates money. When you want to bring that type of attention to your team and he knows it, he gets paid for all this. He's getting something off of this. This is why the contracts are so huge. Believe that today. This is not off of ticket sales. This is off of look at me and look at what I'm doing, and this is the type of conversation that I generate. I want paid for it. So when you're looking at 10 other players who has to move out of the way just so one player, you're looking at 4 teams, 10 other players who have to do something just so one player can be on a team. That doesn't necessarily guarantee a last round playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Going into the championship games, there's no guarantee to that. Look at Carmelo's age. There's no guarantee to that. All this has to be done for it. I mean, when Kevin Durant moved to Golden State, listen, who in their right mind did not think that it was a guaranteed win? Well, I'm gonna tell you something. There were some people going, Cleveland can still pull it off, but there was always a clause in there. If they wasn't going Golden State could win, if they were going Golden State could win. When it came to talking about Cleveland, when it was like Cleveland could win if, and it had to be some type of godsend for that to actually happen. But it was just, if Kevin Durant gets hurt, then all things being equal, all things considered, okay, Kevin Durant doesn't get hurt. Kevin Durant goes in there and blows up everything. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it was a huge if. It was just like if the angels of God came down. You know what I'm saying? If Kadeem Hardiston was playing a sixth man in that corny movie. I'm just saying, it had to be some type of something that just made Cleveland just all of a sudden come out and blow them away by 30 points for the next 3 games, which didn't happen. They had a lot of ref help, and it was so obvious that the refs was helping them. They just ended the whole thing. 5-1, it's over. I'm telling you, people, I don't think Carmelo's going to go to Cleveland, even though that's his second option. And here's another reason why I don't think he's going to come to Cleveland. Here's another reason. Because Cleveland doesn't even have a GM right now. I don't even have one. They're in disarray right now. And this is besides what Kyrie Irving is doing. This is besides the relationship between Batman and Robin. That's besides that. Let's just look at what Cleveland's doing right now. Now, last year, Carmelo Anthony, to me, in his mind, he had more of a direction when it came to Cleveland. He was probably looking at Cleveland very strong last year. As a matter of fact, I think this is when these talks started to happen. Last year, before the season started, before the 2016 or 17 season, whatever it is, started, he was like, Cleveland, you know what I'm saying? Possible I can go there if I break this clause. Then he was just like, oh, Houston, you know what I'm saying? I could do that. Paul George, here's another thing. Paul George is only in Houston for a year. He's got a 1-year contract. Listen, it wouldn't surprise me if Paul George went right back to the Pacers. All this flip-flopping they're doing, all this flip-flopping is just trying something out for a minute and then say, it didn't work. Let's go back to what we used to do. Let's try something else. That's all this is the recipe. A little extra salt. It didn't work last time. Yeah. That's what it seems like to me with all these corny 1-year contracts. That's all it is. Next thing you know, there's going to be half-year contracts. It's going to be half-year I'm only going to try them for half a year. There's going to be game contracts. I think I want to play with him this game. It's going to be like a game of pickup. Serious. Hey, you want to play for us this game? We're going up against the Warriors. We need to stack the deck. You think they don't do that? They're doing that now. That's what Cleveland did last year. That's what they did. They had a bunch of players on their roster. Listen, they had a certain amount of probably luxury tax that they cleared off, and they said, what we're going to do is we're going to have certain players that are just lingering out there that are free agents, and when we want to pick them up just for a couple games or a couple years, I'm talking about for a couple games, just for a little bit of that season. That's exactly what they did. They picked up a couple players just to play in those couple games, just to warm that bench, just, to have that extra in the pocket. And boom, when they needed them, get on out there. When they was done, your contract's up. It was like 2-3 game I'm telling you, they did that. But it's going to be more visible now. It's just all bad. Listen, Melo's not... Here's what I think is going to happen to Melo. Here's what I think. I'm just going to toss this out there. Here's what I think. It's not necessarily a prediction because some of you guys really go off when I start making predictions. And I don't care that you go off that I make predictions. Uh, but some of you don't understand, what I'm talking about when I make these predictions. You say stuff like, oh, you make a prediction and then you say you don't know how. When I make a prediction, that prediction just isn't consistent of that one video. It's usually, I have a couple videos leading up to that prediction. And then I'm going, this is what's going to happen. First, I start off with, this is what I think is going to happen. Because I don't have all the information that I really need to make a solid prediction. So this is one of those beginning videos of what I think is going to happen to Melo. All right? So you guys can, slowly roll. Calm down. What up, D-Dubs, man? You've been talking to me a lot, man. Thanks a lot. Ricky G, I'm going to get to your comments. You know what I'm saying? Ricky G was talking about Kyrie Irving. Anyways, I'm going to get to those in my next video. But here's what I think is going to happen to Carmelo. I think Carmelo's going to stay right there in New York. And I've been saying this over and over again. And here's the reason why I think Carmelo's going to stay there. I think Carmelo's going to stay there because one, the new GM that they're going to pick up is going to have to, was it the GM or the coach? I think it was a GM that was fired. Yeah, it's a GM. What I think he's going to have to do is he's going to have to be on the same page as Melo. Because that little soap opera that happened, it's really costing the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? It's not sexy anymore. You know what I mean? It's not fun. Nobody wants to see it. The New York people are disappointed with it. It's like if you want your team to be supported, you got to have somebody who shows up, and comes to work. You know what I'm saying? You don't go out and grab a 71-year-old man. Don't do that. Don't go out and get somebody who wants to be on vacation more than they want to actually be here when these deals need to be made. You know what I'm saying? They might get that dude who just left Cleveland, truthfully. And I said that before. So I think Carmelo's going to stay. But I think they're going to build around Carmelo. Now, some of you want Carmelo and LeBron James to play together so bad simply because LeBron James said he wanted to play with Melo. Now, some of you think that LeBron James is going to go to New York. Listen, that is more acceptable than Carmelo leaving New York. It's just more acceptable. Why? Because we already know LeBron James, when he wants to travel, he will. He will. We also know this. LeBron James is already looking at the Lakers, so we're like, he's going. We also know this. When LeBron James starts talking to a team, there's a good chance he goes to that team. I mean, with all those factors in mind, LeBron is going to leave Cleveland. And that's just all that's to it. Now, being that we're so used to LeBron leaving Cleveland and LeBron has to make up, he's trying to be the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to make him the GOAT over Michael Jordan. Bron only has 3 rings. He needs 4 more, and he's got 7 years to do it. So what's he going to do? He's going to look to the teams that's going to help him get to where he needs to go. That's all that's to it. Now, I still don't know for the life of me why he won't stay in Cleveland and just build that dynasty in Cleveland and let that be that. Now, I'm not sure about all that. But nonetheless, we already know he's looking towards the Lakers. I'm thinking one of the biggest problems is Kyrie Irving. And being that he's such a good player and he's a closer, he's a dynamite dude on the ball field. LeBron might be, instead of getting rid of Kyrie, I'm just gonna dip off and go somewhere else. So would it surprise me if LeBron went and played with Melo in New York? Absolutely not. And I'm gonna throw this out there. If it happens, it's gonna be 3 years from now. Yeah. 3 years from now. Who knows? I'm just throwing that out there. So that's what I think is going to happen with Melo. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think Melo's going to go to Houston, but if he goes anywhere, he's going to go to Houston. If Carmelo goes to Houston, will Houston go into, they'll go into the playoffs already. We know this. But will they go into the championship games? No. him and Paul George and James Harden, no. They will not win. They will not go into. I mean, they'll. I just don't think they'll make it to the championship game, let alone win the championship. It's just I can't see it. I just can't see them stopping Golden State. I can't see it, not at all. Golden State's too young, too fresh. They have too much firepower. They got good defense, and you're talking about two guys who suck at defense. James Harden plays no defense, like no defense. This dude stands there and watches people run right past him, and you just paid him $228 million for how long? Get out of here. So that's us. That's what I feel about the Carmelo Anthony thing. And what up, Muna? Abdi. So that's what I think about it. And you guys are welcome to weigh in. Tell me what you think. But I just think we need to stay focused and calm down. I just don't think that Carmelo's going to leave. If he does, it wouldn't be a surprise to me because I don't really have any, stock in him. I don't really have no stock in the system. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, this happened, like, okay, well, that happened. However, with Carmelo being the big name out there, it just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I don't have any like faith in the basketball system at all. But all things being considered, it just doesn't make good sense for that ad revenue, those ticket sales to leave New York. It makes more sense for them to throw more stars over there where Melo is and make him happy and possibly in 3 years be playing with LeBron James. That's what makes sense to me. I think Melo's going to stay. It's your boy Tom 202.